With liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin with our new business, which will be the public hearing, we'll open the public hearing in about 30 seconds. I'd just like to take this opportunity to introduce the public that is here and the public that is watching for reasons unknown to me. To introduce Tammy Martin, who's our new town administrator. This is her first meeting with us and her first week on the ground with us in Barre. We are very pleased to have her and hope that all of the work that lies ahead is something that she continues to be energized about. She and I have had lots of conversations, not only with me, but I know certainly with other select board members, as we've sort of tried to unwind where we need to go and what we need to get done. So, well, welcome.
Thank you.
And thank you already for the work that you've accomplished.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Could I have a motion to open a public hearing, please, for the transfer of a liquor license?
I move to open a public hearing for the transfer of liquor license from Dominic Inc.'s DBA Berry Mill Restaurant to Mile 61 Tavern, Jason Petrezak, as manager.
We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to open a public hearing for a transfer of a liquor license. Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Looks like it's a vote. Would you come up front? And I guess we just really have to confirm that we've received all of the paperwork. Apologize that there was a glitch in the action. And I think everything is straightened out now, and so I think we're prepared to transfer the liquor license as requested.
Have it all ready?
And you have the paperwork that we need to sign. You have any questions or concerns?
Second time's a charm.
Second time's a charm.
I have
And
a
the-
question, though.
Okay.
You haven't heard back from, what's it, Sabrina?
Only that last email I think you were on where she was requesting
The public hearing notice and the
Must-
abutters?
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
that's
we're
just
good.
waiting.
Then we're good.
We're
So
good.
we'll be signing that. Can they take that with them tonight, or does
No,
that
I'm
need to be
going-
filed?
No, you're gonna sign it,
Right.
and then I'm gonna send it right over to Sabrina before I go home tonight.
Okay.
I'm going-
So do we have approval of the transfer of the liquor license?
We could just see if there's any public comment for the public hearing first.
I wish them well.
All right, great.
Great public comment. Hearing none, those in favor of the transfer?
I move to approve the transfer of the liquor license transfer from Dominic's Inc. doing business as Berry Mill Restaurant to Mile 61 Tavern, Jason Petrezak, manager.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the request and to transfer the liquor license as required. Those in favor?
Aye.
It looks like a vote. I will sign that, and we will get the paperwork off and running, and hopeful to see you open and having good business soon.
All three of you sign. Right on the bottom.
Just by.
All three of us.
Sandy, do you have any idea how long that will take? I mean, what's the usual time frame?
It's usually about 2 weeks, but she already has everything, she's just waiting for that, so it may just
Do you need
take.
this or do they take?
No, I gotta send that.
She's
to
gonna
her.
send it
It
to
may take till the end of this week, depends.
Yeah, depends how much partying is going on.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming, and good luck with your business. Okay, we move back now to public comment, and that would be a place where if there's an item not on the agenda, but you would like to have an opportunity to speak briefly to the board, I would certainly recognize you. I believe there's a young gentleman here who made overtures to our office regarding, shall we say, an Eagle Scout project? An Eagle Scout project? Would you like to come forward and talk with us a little bit about your ideas? I think you are looking for something you might want to just sort of work with the select board, or,
He's going to wait and hear what's on the agenda tonight and then pick one topic
okay,
based off of that.
okay. Well, it could be the ice skating rink, huh? No. I don't know what you'll choose, but anyway. Okay, I guess, Sam?
In past meetings, we've discussed briefly some discussions with the Common Committee
Mhm.
in regards to signage.
Mhm.
And it seems to be disappearing a little bit.
Well, we talked basically with the Historical Commission. We tried to set up a meeting time for the Historical Commission people to be in attendance. For whatever reason, they had a conflict and could not do that. So we've reached out asking them to pick a date to be with us, because if we're gonna put it on the Common, because of the historic register that the Common is in, we just can't plunk a sign any old place we'd like. And so we knew if we had a plan that we didn't consult with the Historical Commission on, it wasn't gonna fly without their approval, and so we thought we'd start with them. It's not like there's 15 different places in town where you could put this sign where it would be useful to the public. So probably some of those really important places that would be appropriate are gonna be something that we have to have Historical Commission approval. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So,
I think it would be worth reaching out again and seeing if they could come to the next meeting.
probably
Just
Lucy
keep-
Allen, I think
keep,
she's the head
Yeah.
person down there. So, and once we get
Be nice
Lucy
to
in the
get-
room, she and her troops will get on it.
I think
I know-
particularly where ARPA, I know it'd be ideal to use common funds, but where ARPA is still available,
We should,
and that does have, a timer on it,
we
we
need to get
move
going.
quickly.
We need to at
Get
least
this at least started.
encumber it.
Right.
Agreed.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And also, I don't believe there's any historic register issue with the Barre Plains Common, where they are seeking a sign of some sort,
Mhm.
because the one that is currently in place is of
it's
wood and
small.
pretty rotted. So
Yeah.
we need to replace that one as
That'd be
well.
good.
Okay?
Oh,
Barre Plains Common.
Yep.
And that would probably be, there's another historical commission person, Charlotte Garou.
yeah.
She's also on the Historical Commission,
Oh,
so
okay.
she would be helpful in getting her, in the Historical Commission's opinion on that sign as well. I mean, we want to utilize I think the format on the Barre Library sign, the Henry Woods sign, and try to replicate that across the community, so, okay. Any other public comment, sir?
I'm not sure if it's on tonight's agenda or not, but I'm here for the concerns, I can name 3 on town farm.
Okay,
I don't know, is that on your agenda for the evening?
it is not.
It is.
I do have someone for that under communications, or I guess Selectboard Report. I
Okay,
spoke with someone recently about that.
okay.
About the ice?
I got a call about that over the weekend. So,
And what
Well,
about the
over
culvert that
yesterday.
I addressed 2 or 3 months ago?
no, I don't have any update on that.
Did you receive my email about the speed limit sign?
Yes, yep. So we actually have our DPW director here, we can discuss speed limit signs, those
And
are
we also
a
have
bit tricky.
a chief is here as
Yeah.
well.
So we can definitely discuss that, I think. Well,
Because there's
Bring it under
a growing
correspondence.
issue on the street. I mean, I'm uphill,
mhm.
I should not care what happens below me, but for those, the safety of the children, with the speeding in the morning, they're trying to walk to the bus, to the ice, and the poor woman can't get in her driveway, to us trying to come up the hill from that side,
Mhm.
to now it's flooding my property since they cleaned out the pipe. I guess, there's no easement for the pipe. And I brought this up, and I asked that it be removed, and that was in September. I've heard nothing. Next year is 2 weeks.
Well, from my
You
understanding,
want to do with legal counsel?
yeah, I mean, there's no easement for the pipe that you could discern on a deed search, correct?
I did, and I supplied it.
Yeah, well, I mean,
It was back in 1951.
yeah,
I asked it to be relocated and a pipe extended, and before they started the road work, during the road work, and before they paved or patched the road, and it fell on deaf ears, now I want it removed. It dumps the water right where the perk test is, within 30 feet. I'm not gonna put a house there and have a pipe go underneath the driveway, because then the town has to be responsible to maintain said pipe. I asked that it was moved over to the edge of the property and extended so it could be serviced.
mhm,
Fell on deaf ears for months.
mhm.
So I did my research,
Mhm.
And like I was saying, according to the record of deeds, there's only two. And it was back to 1951, there's no easement.
Mhm.
And yes, way back in the day, we all did things with a handshake. I don't know, we can't do that anymore.
Mhm.
I learned that in a hard lesson as we speak.
How, so that pipe has been there ever since you've owned the property?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I would say that our legal counsel will just have to certify the deed search and go back further, and just in case.
That deed search, excuse me, that came from this town hall.
Well, yeah, but the register of deeds might be a different situation. If you were to sell your house, they don't come to the town, they go back to the registry of deeds.
I
To
believe
see
he
if-
pulled, I can't remember his name, but I think he pulled it right from the record of deeds.
Yeah, that probably was our assessor, I would think.
Yes.
Yeah,
He
Yeah.
did his thing on his side, I can't see what he was doing.
Yeah.
He spit him out.
yeah. Well, we just would make sure, certain that there wasn't some easement somewhere along the line. And obviously, if there is no easement and this pipe was put on the property 25 years ago or whatever, does anybody know when the pipe was?
It was replaced about 8, 10 years ago, and it collapsed.
Okay, but it was there before that.
150 years,
Yeah.
so since the road was put in,
Okay. So a long time.
long time. There is legal, when you talk to council, there's different legal options.
Statute.
For statutes that pipes have been placed before,
Okay,
you know, when the town sold that property, you know, however many.
okay.
It was owned by that elderly woman, the farmer.
Well, originally that was town farm, so. I think
Yeah, that's right, it was an original town property, that's true. Well, I think you want the pipe moved or relocated.
Well, I'm just aggravated, because I feel like that I don't matter as a taxpayer.
You matter.
Well, I've asked for a return email on 3 different issues, but I can't even get that.
Well, you asked for a specific document issues for, you said there was no easement, I remember reading that. And then obviously, we say, okay, there's no easement that we have a record of, but we really need to search the registry of deeds and go back further. And because maybe there is an easement that this was never put in the deed this person who bought the property. So we have to protect the rights of the community. I'm not saying that you're not right, you very well could be. Moving the pipe may end up being cheaper than asking the lawyer. I don't know. That would be a question that we'd have to talk with the DPW.
I asked in September, it's now going towards the end of December.
Yeah.
So how long am I expected to be patient?
Well, I'd hope for another month or so. I know that the hard thing to understand when you're a person who's not, and I certainly would tell you, I'm relatively new at this job, I really thought the selectmen could get things done a lot more quickly than they can. I really did. I really believed that this part-time, organization could just wrap it up and then add to it. We didn't have a town administrator. We had somebody who's only here 2 days a week. We're short-staffed in our highway department, we're short-staffed in our police department, just
Nobody
because.
wants to work.
Well, I don't know if it's nobody wants to work, but, so what we've been trying to do is to do the best we can to take care of the most, costly issues that would impact the town.
No, I understand that.
And I'm not saying you're not important, it's just that we tried desperately to get to everything, but we've got culverts that other people have, on our list, where they're worried about a culvert that's collapsing and maybe gonna, put too much water on their property. We have
Right.
Grogan Road that really wanted to get, shall we say, all tarred and fixed up this year, which we didn't get to do that. We have maybe 3 people down in our DPW department, including the master mechanic. So our equipment is not running as quickly as possible because people are, doing more than one job in the department trying to get those things done. And so while I'd like to say we don't care, that people might say, oh, they don't care about you, they just sit there and they do their meetings and they don't think about it. We do think about it. And I would love to say to you, by 6 PM on the 3rd of January, we're gonna have this fixed. I'm gonna call or ask could talk to DP Law to get information to do we can probably get that done, because we can just ask them to do the search. And they will give us any information if there is some easement. If there is not, like, as you've seen from at least the preliminary deed search, that there's no and never has been an easement, then we'll say to them, what's our obligation? Do we have to move it? And if we have to move it, then we'll have to move it. if we obviously could do, because you talked about, being amenable to maybe making it, dump somewhere different, but still on that property.
Yeah,
We-
I suggested it early on to move it downhill about 40 feet,
Right,
run it along the edge of the property line.
Yeah.
But now that's so much, well, now they've cleaned the pipe, now it's affecting my immediate neighbor, who
mhm,
gave me a phone call today.
yeah,
And then there's still water running on the street, and you drive down the road like I did today, there's 3 spots, the water's coming out of the hill, there is no drainage there at all.
mhm,
This has become a safety issue for
Oh.
those below me.
mhm.
And I guess my biggest question here is it gonna take a loss of a life or a lawsuit to get it fixed?
Well, obviously, a loss of a life is nothing any of us want to see, and hopefully that is not going to be the result of this circumstance at all. There are many, I could drive you around today, and with the water that we've had, and you would say, oh, okay, ours is bad, but theirs is worse.
I hear you.
And so I would tell you, we try desperately to get to all of these circumstances, and in doing so, we're sort of finger in the dike. I'll be honest with you, we don't have the personnel right now to fix everything as quickly as it would be in everyone's best interest to do. We are advertising and advertising and advertising and trying to get the personnel that we need to be on the equipment that we need to put on the roads. We even have the equipment sitting there, we just can't get the people to use it. We could go out and try to get independent contractors to do that way over our budget, but, we certainly can do some of that sort of thing. I know that the highway superintendent is here tonight. I feel badly because he's not here for this reason, but this is one piece of circumstance that we do have to address. But if I said to Jason, we can't do it tonight, I know that. There's other things on our plate, but the first thing for us is to search that easement and make certain that if it's, whose easement it was, I don't know. If it's the town's, life is good and it's easy,
I think
quite
if we
frankly,
can,
if we did it.
if we can plan to at least, have at the next meeting an update from whatever we can get from legal, we need them to respond and, have an update of where we're at, if there is different easements, what the statutes are,
Yeah.
what our obligations are, so we can take the appropriate action.
Yeah.
That would
When
be-
you purchased the property, did it come up on your title search at all? Any type of easement?
Not to my knowledge, no.
And I'm sure you had
The
a,
thing has been clogged for some time.
Yep.
Okay, and then when they did the road work.
Yeah.
It got even worse, and now because I brought it up, he's been up there, he was up there today,
Yeah.
cleaning out the pipe, or somebody was. So, at the end of the day, when they're digging it all up to put the thing, why wasn't there a swale put down on the side of the road to keep the water on the side of the road? It crosses the road in numerous places.
Mhm.
We can't control branches falling down, blocking leaves, blocking culverts, filling up with water going across the road. We can't do this. He doesn't have the resources to go around and check all the time. If y'all get the money and the time to do it twice, why couldn't you do it right the first time? That's the thing I'm trying to get at. The road was all dug up. The excavator was there, you could have put a swale, kept the water off the road, and then take out the darn pipe and send it down to the very bottom, right into the river. You have no problem flooding my property.
Jason, you have a comment?
Yeah, just to get the record straight here, I know you guys have talked about this quite a bit. The town of Barre did no drainage work on Town Farm Road. We installed the water line on Town Farm Road. There was no drainage work completed on that road. So there was a trench dug, water line was installed, and the trench was patched. That was it. So drainage work was not.
But we know that certainly Town Farm Road, needs a lot of work. I mean,
Well, honestly, we don't want it all repaired, because then they go through that, honestly.
yeah, but I mean, we do have to repair it better than it is
The
now.
problem is, we're looking at the safety aspect of the water crossing the road and freezing.
Mhm.
That's
The
the point.
poor woman that contacted you, her mailbox was placed twice last year.
Mhm.
It's gonna happen again this year.
Mhm.
And now that you've patched the road, the traffic is much faster.
Mhm.
And here again, things are just screwed up because I went to the police station twice. Told them about the speeding at a certain time frame in the morning, you show up an hour early. I don't get it, don't get it. The problem that 5 minutes to 7, a 7:15, and they come up, sit there at 6 o'clock. I'm sitting there watching news, see the cruiser go up, 20 minutes later, it goes back down.
But they're there, so let's get that.
the wrong time. But the problem is that I'm trying to get at is, now that the road, a lot of the loop-de-doos are taken out of it, unfortunately, our entertainment value is now diminished. And the water is just running across the road, there's rocks in the road, there's debris in the road, and it's hard to say, it's gonna take someone to get an accident before something, it's not necessarily your fault, I'm not blaming anybody, okay? All I was saying about the drainage, y'all were there, why didn't someone just say, hey, we should probably put a swale while we're here, the excavator, the dump truck, and the manpower were there during the summer. Now we got a bigger problem that you can't fix.
Chief, did you have any comment on your assignment of staff?
There's a couple of issues there. One, it's an unmarked road, there's no speed limit sign, which means technically the speed limit's like 35, which looks like 60 on that road.
Mhm.
We can't be everywhere all at once either.
Mhm.
We do try.
Mhm.
We've got complaints all over town, so.
I understand that.
To put a speed limit sign there, is that something that Jason, DPW, as well as the chief could work on and have happen?
Yep, absolutely.
If the chief comes up with a plan for the speed limit there, we can show us
I can bet why your person was there at 6 AM and didn't show up at 7:15 to 7:15, because 7:15,
Shift change.
not even that. It's when the school opens up at Quabbin, and that's where all the cruisers are. They're, at the school, they're making sure the traffic that's coming in from Hardwick and from Barre, which is oftentimes filled with 16, 17, and 18-year-old drivers. There's a cruiser in front of the school, and there's a cruiser either down on the bottom of the hill or, by Cook's Canyon. Because I go that route at that time in the morning, and I say, I'm not going very fast today, because that's where the cruisers are. And I know you only have 2 cruisers on at the time, so I know they're at the schools. And I appreciate the need to get the sign in there and to do those sorts of things. But let's say that we'll work this week and next week on getting the lawyers to get the deed search done, so we'll figure out where we are. Is there anything, Jason, that you can do to mitigate some of this water getting across? I know these
Sounds
last
like you might have been doing that today.
these last 2
as far as-
rainstorms have been really,
Opening up,
Yep.
swales and
Yeah.
the roadway today, obviously today was a little bit
yeah, it was,
difficult everywhere, so.
yeah.
Yeah, I know Town Farm Road came up last time we were discussing street paving. It didn't make the list for this last one. So I think with the message I got, I just, I got that this morning, but I wanted to know, what we had for short-term options for improvements. If it was just, if there's,
Another thing we may wanna look into is each one of those new homes on the opposite side from Tom's house, further down the hill. Each building package, they do sign a release about water being discharged, and it specifically states in there that water is not to be discharged onto the town way, and all that water is coming from those lots. So, but that was not there prior to those homes being built, so technically, that's,
It comes out of Caruso's new house.
There's a spot coming out there now, but it comes out of the banking in front of that red house as well. When they cut that lot down, they hit a spring or something there, and it comes out into the road.
Okay.
The homeowner is responsible for the water coming from their property, yes, it's not supposed to discharge into the town road. So, have to hire an engineer or something to figure out where their water's gonna go.
Okay, so I think it's a more convoluted problem than, Chief, I don't know if there's anything you can do during at least school vacation time, maybe to get a cruiser up there at that
Well, I
time.
think part of it is the high school kids,
Oh, then again,
because with this patchwork, now they can go, so they're cutting over and just going straight up to school.
right.
We have the same issue on Stetson Road, and
Yeah,
Okay.
we're trying to monitor Stetson Road as well.
Yeah.
again,
Yeah, they're going from town farm, going to Stetson, right?
we're at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
We're not gonna get directly affected, we're just looking out for the children below,
Mhm.
and we
Or
know
we
that,
have to be out walking.
yeah, we do walk around the block, but that corner down the bottom, it gets ice all the way across, and I understand that woman's thought process. She can't get in her driveway,
Right.
her and her husband can't get in. So, it's really none of my business, okay? But out of safety,
Mhm.
and I don't have a problem speaking my mind, what most people do,
Mhm.
I just see something's gonna happen.
Mhm.
The people are walking dogs in the morning at the crack of dawn.
Well, the thing of it is, we can talk with the school about pulling some driving permits of people who might be making that thing and telling the kids, don't go that way. Just don't go that way, because we're gonna pull your driving permit, because we don't like the fact that you've been speeding over that hill. Because we probably know who they are. Well, it's not hard to figure out what kids are coming over that hill.
My school resource officer has been working on that.
Okay, so, I mean, we can make it so that they're going, we have to go up, you know, through the center of town and so forth. So that would help a lot, probably. But like you say, they're zipping over that, and then they're zipping up Stetson Road at 900 miles an hour, probably.
Yeah, that's like a racetrack down.
Yeah.
You guys did a good job fixing that. But we do miss the entertainment. Maybe can we put a speed bump by my driveway? Because it was a great entertainment value, especially 11 o'clock at night, people in the bar.
I'll bring back the speed hump policy I put out a while ago. We never actually took a look at that.
I do miss that nice boulder that was just beyond my driveway. You could hear the oil pans.
It made your heart feel good.
Yeah, well, you know, it said that message that I didn't have to do.
Okay, well, thank you for coming, and we'll get to you with what information we find out on that easement. And then if there was an easement, you know, years and years ago, I don't know. See, the thing of it is, the town owned that property before they sold it into lots. That's the problem, I think.
No, there was an elderly woman who owned both sides of the road. I don't recall her name, it was on that paperwork I
Yeah,
did in
I know that,
September.
yeah, but see, before that,
Oh,
she purchased that property from the town. The town owned that whole hill. It was called Tarn Farm Road. There was a big old homestead there where people who were indigent or homeless
We don't know
would
when
live.
it was originally put in, that's the problem.
Yes.
And unfortunately, with the Registry of Deeds, a lot of their records have only been digitized back to the
Yeah.
70s. So a lot of that would be a physical search in Worcester
Yeah,
through their
Yeah.
paper records. So that's what the lawyers
It'll
would need
take
to do.
some time.
Yeah.
it'll take some time. Or we figure out some other option. Sam?
At one time, I did some homework on the area where the dump is, the old dump.
The old Town Farm Road dump.
And that property was given to the town
Mm-hmm,
for whatever purpose.
mm-hmm,
But the deed was interesting, so the town owns that.
mm-hmm.
So maybe the town has a responsibility to make.
Well, they may. And I don't know if the town sold property that they ended up, you know, getting for free. I don't know. I know that the town farm buildings itself, they were torn down and gone away. And the thing that was called the town farm dump, which some people tell me now, people sneak down there still and throw stuff. I don't know if that's true, but.
They do.
Okay, and so that is still owned by the town. There's some signage up there about no dumping and so forth, but probably not scaring anybody away. It's really well grown up now, though. It's not in any kind of use by the town, at least. But anyway, thank you for your patience. I know it's very difficult to be as patient as you've been.
I just wanna be able to use the property that I own and right now.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay,
So, thank you for your time, happy, safe holidays, everybody.
same to you.
Thank you for your time.
Bye-bye. Okay.
We'll see you soon.
A little longer than we thought. Okay, if we could just approve minutes December 4th, please?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from December 4th.
Oh, you're abstaining? I'll second that
For the
motion.
6 PM meeting.
And this was a 6 PM regular select boards meeting. Those in
Yes.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you second it?
Yes, I did. Also on December 4th, there was a joint meeting with the Insurance Advisory Committee and the Select Board. May we have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the meeting minutes from the joint meeting with the Insurance Advisory Committee on December 4th at 5 PM.
I second that motion and look for a vote, please. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstaining? We have one abstention. And those meeting minutes are for public release. Moving down, could we go into item D, where we talk about the ice rink discussion? Since I know, Mr. Stevens, I know how much you enjoy these meetings. But my guess is if you could get through your section of it, you'd be happy.
Sure. Hardly the night to be talking about ice skating rink, but the season hopefully will be upon us soon. Typically, we would set up right now after the Lions Club vacates that portion of the common with their Christmas tree sales. The original liner that we've been using and started using back in 1997 is done. It's very brittle. That was
Well,
40 mil.
it doesn't owe you anything.
No. That was a 40 mil landfill liner that we secured from Waste Management back in 1997. We set up that rink for many years down at Barre Plains, next to the Barre Plains Fire Station. And then it was stored behind the Barre Plains Fire Station for a number of years, and we set it back up again 3 years ago, getting ready for our 250th. So it's very brittle, it's full of holes. Every time we move it, we put more damage. We've trimmed it each of the 2 years, the last 2 years, it's gotten smaller and smaller because we had to keep trimming it. So either we do nothing, we have an option to purchase a new style rink, and those are 2 different sizes with pricing, which should last the town another 25 plus years. Pretty easy storage, it's all plastic.
So it's easy to store?
Yes, yep. So
You want the
very-
50 to 60, or you want the 40 to 50?
Well, it all comes down to dollars and cents. But that's.
Is this something that you're contemplating, would be something that the 250th monies would be used for, or this is something you're asking the select board to fund?
All the above.
Well,
All the above.
Whatever
So,
makes it work.
we can certainly cover that cost. I mean, the committee's worked for three plus years fundraising as a committee, and then, we receive funds from the bank, and we receive funds from the state, and we receive funds from the taxpayers. So we have a sum of money to do the whole entire 250th next year, basically. Will $5,000 break the bank? No. It would be better if it was a joint venture between us and you, but could we do it? Yes, we could.
Well, I would certainly recommend that we use ARPA funds for this, because it's a one-time cost and sort of a piece of capital equipment, if you'd like.
That was my
And-
first thought.
And I only say that because it is well beyond just the responsibility of the 250th anniversary group. This is a full, community opportunity. If we get some decent weather for this, it's a lot of work I know that the 250th committee has been the people maintaining it. It's a lot of work to do that, to get it so that the surface is usable. But it would, for me, utilizing ARPA funds for this would make sense. It would also leave more of a cushion in the 250th for other extraordinary expenses that we don't know about yet, which will probably still come. So I say to the rest of the board, what are your feelings and thoughts? And
Yeah, I think from my perspective, this is sort of in the same category as like playground improvements, things that benefit the community, benefit the town, and I think ARPA is certainly my first thought. We have those funds available, and a timer on them.
it would allow you a quick, easy purchase, because we would be able to utilize those funds whenever you.
Correct.
Yeah.
And this company does deal with municipalities. Sandy was kind enough to give me the tax exempt certificate, so I sent that to him. So you'll see the discounts at the bottom
Yeah,
of
it's
those
sort of a
quotes,
reduction.
which are pretty significant.
Yes.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I'm sure you can't wait around too long to put this all together once the winter actually does get here.
Well, we would be getting it together now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then anticipation of cold weather to freeze the water once
Right.
we get the water in there.
Mhm.
Hopefully we have January, February, and a good portion of March
Well-
to use it, and folks are asking. I mean, they're on the Facebook pages asking,
Well, it's a good thing.
so
I
it's a
mean,
good thing.
as much as, I know you want to have the cold weather, I've enjoyed 60 today, but I would look for a motion.
I would move to, I'd say, fund the,
Larger one,
the ice skating rink through ARPA funds.
which is for an amount of $5,602.
I'll second that.
We have a motion made and seconded to fund from the ARPA account an easy ice, a home arena system for the ice rink that it be installed in the common for each of probably many years to come. And those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you very much. You can hold on to that. I have a
Okay.
copy.
I don't know if you want to hold on to it just for records.
They have inventory for that? It's all set, you can just order it and get it? Oh, good.
Yeah, they'll
That's
ship it
good.
right out, so I'll work with your office, as far as Santana.
And I know that the fire
invoice.
department usually is helpful in helping set up and so forth.
Yeah, the DPW and the fire department have been very good to us.
Are you,
last
you're gonna
few
locate it,
years.
you're gonna locate it the same area?
We'd like to.
Okay.
And if you could give that blessing, I know we usually ask permission, but I think it'd be wise while we're here.
We're looking for a motion to allow the town ice rink to be set up on South Common in the traditional area and location that has been previously used.
You're looking for the motion? I would move to approve the use of South Common for the ice skating rink through, when is it usually?
January through March?
March, yeah, whenever it warms up.
Through April.
Once this
For
year,
the
it'll
ice
be
skating
ice
rink.
for May.
Then we take it down.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
We have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to authorize the use of South Common for this purpose. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Looks like a vote.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Saves you a trip.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays.
Same to you.
Rich,
See you, Rich.
Rugby shipped out house. We can unload it.
More than likely, it's gonna come free, I would say. Yeah, probably that.
Just let me know.
Okay, thank you. Everyone.
Okay, moving along. Town administrator report. You know, you've only been here, like, 4 days, but,
I do have a few things. I received an email from Chief Rogowski. He has returned from overseas, and he will be reporting back to work January 1st.
great.
My first week, I'll go over that, and then I'll go to my next one. My first week has been very productive. I've attended a few meetings, and I've had a chance to meet with many employees and talk about what's going on with their departments, as well as scheduling other times to meet with the employees. And I'm hoping to have more interface with the public in the next few weeks, and I want the public to know that they can contact me at any time with any questions or concerns, or even just to come in and say hi. And we had an exciting day today. We had a few flood issues at the Henry Building, and we ended up having assistance from the fire sewer, and Jason came and also looked in at it, and Mark was there as well. And we looked at it, and there's definitely gonna be we need to take care of some issues, and we have a plumber that's coming in tomorrow to meet with me, and we're gonna go down and check all that out. There's obviously a few other issues within the building that I've noticed that we're gonna have to definitely look and take care of, and we need to make sure this building is up and running and being functional, and we wanna do it now and, conquer it now, than have it be 5-10 years down the road and be condemned or something, so a lot of things we're gonna be looking at down the pipeline that we'll have to look at, and I'll go around, I'll be making notes of all that as well.
I know you've had the opportunity to go through our audits. I know you've had the opportunity also to work with some of our finance people already and getting things up and running for, as we look at what's next in putting together the FY25 budget.
Yes.
I know I sent you the sad news about revenues being down for FY24, and the concern that we're probably not gonna have a problem in FY24, but FY25 could be pretty tight, if Taxpayers Association has any correct, information, so. I certainly appreciate the amount of time and effort you've put in, getting things, sort of trying to understand where we are, what we're good at, what we're not so good at, and what we need to address immediately, and what maybe can wait. So that's been good. I know you've been working on some personnel issues that Greg sort of left for you, and that's really good. So we can continue to move forward on those as well. I know we're going to talk about the elevator a little later, but
Yes.
we think we've got that squared away,
Yes.
so that's a good thing. Anything else? I know that it's just been a couple of
Just
days.
a lot of projects you're gonna see coming down the pipeline that I will
Yeah.
continue to submit
Um,
meetings.
Okay. Okay, Select Board, any reports?
Yep, I have a few things. So first off, I was able to meet with CMRPC to talk about different grant opportunities. One thing that was discussed was the digital equity planning and the potential for using that and regionalizing that grant opportunity to work within the towns of the Quabbin to see what we could put together as a regional effort. So CMRPC is going to reach out to the different towns, and we'll see if we can, find some way to make that grant more attractive to the state for, a group of towns instead of just for our town. And what we have in common, what could be done with that digital equity. There's also other aspects of the digital equity that we can look into and pursue on our own aside from that. Especially as we're talking more about cable access, things along those lines. website updates, making sure that, you know, everyone can understand what we're putting out digitally. Also went through efficiency and regionalization, potentially looking for funding there to help with our video recording of meetings and distribution of those. One of the major topics was our hazard mitigation plan. Our hazard mitigation plan is set to run out next year, and we are behind on getting any funding to update that. We're hopeful that we can get some funding to update that next year, but there is likely going to be a gap where that runs out, and I think our hazard mitigation plan, you know, we can still use that, it's still effective, but it will stop us from getting any funding related to that until we update it. So as long as we're not relying on any funding from that, which I think is something we had talked about, if we're gonna try and look into that and
Yeah.
make sure that there's nothing dependent on that before
Mhm.
that, you know, lapses for a bit there. Yeah, so those were the major things that we you know, have some ability to look into. And again, with master plan, hoping to gain funding back for that next year and pick that back up in the fall, where our phase 1 funding ran out and we did not get funding for phase 2 yet.
Mhm.
So those were the big points for that. Then the 9/11 Memorial Committee, I've been talking with them. We have a number and some, they have a number and some estimates for how much is still needed for that. It's in the $50,000 range. So what I'm hoping to do is to reach out and see if we can get a bug into some people's ears early for earmarking, see if we can get something from those areas, because I'm not sure, you know, as far as looking into different grants, and I thought through that a little bit with CMRPC. It's a little outside of their wheelhouse, but as far as
Well, we
opportunities for funding for that outside of the town,
well, we can definitely discuss this with our legislators.
that's exactly
may-
who I'll be reaching out
yeah.
to. Yeah,
But I mean, we've got a brand-new legislator
Mhm.
and,
and it's a good visible project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we can only hope on that one, but the number I got was 60,000.
Mm.
So it's not gonna be cheap to finish up.
Yeah, so there are estimates in hand. They were sent over to me, and I'll be reaching out to our legislators in
Yeah.
an effort to get that in their ear early before they start looking for things to put on there.
Mhm. And there are
So
9/11 groups.
Yep.
That might be, if, you know, we can find them out.
Yeah, one of the biggest sponsors so far, aside from Barre Charitable Savings was a big one, and then Tunnels to Towers is a 9/11 group.
Yeah.
That was also a big one that donated so far. So
Yeah.
there's certainly more groups like that we can reach out to, and
And we had a lot of local people doing a lot of free work.
absolutely, yeah. A
You
lot
know,
of this came
Yeah.
through their sweat.
Yeah, sure did.
So there's that. Also met with Jason and Tammy and Mass DOT, but we'll get to that
Mhm.
with the Valley Road item later in the
Yep.
agenda.
Okay,
So that's what I have for reports.
okay, thank you. Mark?
Other than the usual, like washout calls and everything that,
Okay,
and there's, got some calls on, Loring Road, overhanging trees, danger. It's something obviously we're gonna deal with the, DPW on. Other than that, I wanted to talk about, a little bit, we got the, fair share FY 2024 amounts for the municipalities was, announced, I guess, today,
mhm,
that 351 municipalities will be receiving a total 100 million, and our share is like 269,510. As far as $269,510 for Chapter 90
mhm.
supplement. I don't,
Yeah,
you know,
that was, if you remember back at our
Mhm.
discussion about road paving, there were some that we left off until we knew for sure this
Yeah.
money was coming through, so we can revisit that and
mhm.
approve additional
Mhm.
items that we were waiting to make sure this came through for.
But
And,
that's all, yeah.
oh, that's good.
That's great.
Um,
That is great news.
What I think is important also is to make sure that we get whatever thing we need to bid materials or anything early on. We,
I just have one more question.
sure.
Yeah.
If you guys, okay. Mark, you said you got a lot of phone calls on washouts and.
Just,
stuff
it-
like that. Do you, when you get those calls, do you give them the DPW's number?
No,
Or
no.
that way we know
What I typically do, it's not targeted for you, Jason. Alls it is we got an unusual amount of water that fell from the sky today, okay? So, that's it. Anything I have, you hear about it through John Chase, because I talked to him about it.
Well, I'm just saying, John Chase is not, way of communicating. Like,
Right,
we do what we
right,
always told
right,
the select
right.
board to do in the past with Maureen and John and everybody. If someone calls one of the selectmen with an issue, you know, you should always tell them, you need to contact the DPW, this is the number, this is the email. So that way.
I gave up on that, so I just, try and
That's
get,
unfortunate, 'cause-
actually, I know you have conversations with John Chase and whatnot, so I figured it gets to you quickly that way.
Yeah, well, that's. I thought John probably-
Without making a phone call and not getting one back. That ship sailed a long time ago.
Probably like twice a month I talk to John Chase, so, I mean, that's.
Perfect.
That's not really,
So that's
to
not-
the taxpayers.
Again, I've got calls
My
today,
recommendation
Jason.
to you would be to give them our contact information, so we could get that stuff on a timely manner.
I've got calls today. I haven't talked to anybody, okay?
No, that's fine, that's great, I'm just.
Obviously, the rain was today. Okay.
Just to, information is that we do have a vendor who is going to be working on our website, who needs to meet with us to try to find out, you know, how we want it structured. One thing we could do is to ensure that the public has access on our website. Yes, you have you have this problem, that problem, you know, click here.
Problem reporting system, yeah.
Yeah, that would really help everybody, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
You know,
I'm
so-
sure on the back end for the DPW,
Yeah.
that would.
And then you have a record and, you know, because some people say, oh, I called you, or I clicked you, I didn't, you know.
Right.
That's it. With our phone system we have in place, anybody that calls, we have a record of each person that has called.
Okay.
It's timestamped, the message is automatically saved to our computer, so we have a record of every person that calls.
Okay.
So if the people that contact you folks could be directed that way, we then have it documented when they called, when we took care of the problem, and all that stuff.
Okay.
So I think that's the better route to go.
Okay. Alrighty, I don't have anything specific other than, the continued issues of concern we have with our buildings and managing and ensuring that they are in proper and safe condition. We have HVAC problems in all of our buildings, in our town hall, in our library, in this building. Senior center is probably a little new and probably doesn't have any specific HVAC problems, but there are other issues of concern there that we need to address. We need, obviously, to either talk a little bit about what is the best way for us to have an analysis of these buildings and their needs, whether we engage an engineering firm or a group of individuals, for example, owner's project management company that comes in and they look at all of our major, you know, issues of concern in those buildings, because we have failed to take really and pay any attention to any of them, other than when there's a flood, and then we decide we get together and call Jason or call the fire department, because we really don't have somebody in charge of our plant facilities. So we need to really address that. The town hall needs painting desperately, and we need to make sure that that gets done next year. So I suspect that we'll be working with our budget when FY '25, that we have some of those issues. We have to manage those.
I don't know if it was ever determined if it would be possible to, like, you know, somehow share some facility services with the school district.
Well, they're very eager to have a conversation about that and very willing to do that. So
Okay.
I would say that the new superintendent can be a person that maybe, Tammy, you can meet with, to have a conversation with, and their plant and facilities director. They have made overtures before. They've made overtures with their technology department. And I know the technology department has worked, I think, with the police department on occasion. They're very amenable to not only being a partner, but also sharing services, because it helps all of us to know each other better, and it also helps to have, because they have a comprehensive bunch of people who work on stuff. And for example, when something goes wrong and there's nobody to call, and the person they call is me, and I'm going, well, that's great, but I go down there and I say to my husband, you better come with me, because I don't know anything about even where the valves are to turn off water. So I call, unfortunately, Jason, I have your text, so I call you and say, it's 1 o'clock, it's Christmas Eve, and he says, I'll be right down. And he, not only did, he actually knew stuff. And he turned off waters, and and the fire department came, and, you know, but that's not the way we should, you know, we should know that these are problem areas and that be somebody one could call. Having worked in the school district, obviously, if the heat went down in the Hubbardston Elementary School, they didn't call me. They called our plant and facilities department, who would remedy the problem and get the building up and running. So we really need to take more time and attention on our buildings. And the people who work in our buildings deserve them to be warm and not really freezing, or not so warm you can't stand it. So hopefully we can begin to get a plan going. And I compliment you for mentioning, you know, because there's a lot of community compact grants for sharing services. So
that was actually one I don't think I touched on, but community compact grant is one that I believe they're planning to reach out to you and to the school district to work together. That's something that we want to look at, but it's a little separate from the other ones.
Yeah, we've done community compact grants before the town and the schools, so that'd be a great idea.
So CMRPC has a few ideas on that for us as well.
They did a great big project with us and won some award or something for it one time. Okay, moving on, correspondence, anything, Sandy or Tammy? Nothing special, okay. Moving, the public hearing is done. Elevator inspection, okay, just an update. We did have an elevator inspection and failed.
And everything was, no.
Oh, we failed because of the legislation has changed. And now we have to have something stopped and so everybody has to make this change. We have 60 days to do it. And we have a couple possibilities for either working with Otis or working with Worcester Elevator or Bay State Elevator. So we will be looking for who has the best price to come in and fix that. It's not a big problem. It's just something that everybody has to upgrade. So we'll be doing that upgrade where appropriate. And I think this is one of the buildings, right, where we failed. So not a big deal. But, you know, we've already gotten a couple bids, not bids, but estimates of costs, and it's amazing. Some are saying 5,000, some are saying 12. So we'll do best practice under procurement, and we will get the best price we can in order to get the elevators running appropriately. We also had water in the elevator issues, so we really need to make sure we take a look at that, have the elevators companies come in and just, you know, take a look at what we've got.
Were there any, aside from this building that failed, that are in town that we?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
We haven't heard anything.
Okay.
They may be on a different,
They're on a
scale,
different but-
schedule, so we really need to maybe have them checked out first.
Senior Center, there's, she talked to us about it last week, something.
Okay, elevator?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're working on elevators these days, so we'll try to get that stuff taken care of. So those were those are just things that we have to upgrade. So it wasn't that the elevator doesn't work, it's just we have to upgrade. Traffic control, looking to add some new names to the designated flag people. I know it sounds like flag people, but, and we can see Hogan, Pollier, Kris, Morandi, Jason Vaillancourt, and Randy Horne. Chief, would you just talk a little bit, you and I spoke on the phone when I asked you, what do those people have to do in order to be flag people?
Sure, in order to qualify for the traffic control unit, all parties have to have their first aid certification, CPR certification. They also have to have a Mass DOT approved flagger course. And then they're also Corey checked, so they are vetted. And then once they pass that, they're
Okay. And you're recommending these individuals to be added to the list?
Yes.
We would need a motion, please.
I move to approve Hogan, Pollier, Kris, Morandi, Jason Vaillancourt, and Randy Horne as traffic control flaggers.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the list provided by the chief of police for those individuals operating as traffic flaggers. We have a vote, please. Those in favor?
Aye.
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 Looks like a vote. We've taken care of the ice skating rink. We now have the perfunctory annual license renewal votes for liquor licenses. And I think we only have one for the liquor license. just,
I have them all on one sheet.
I know you do, I just gotta get to the one sheet.
Mhm.
You got it?
Yep, I have it.
Okay. You wanna run through those for us?
Sure.
We have a motion for the liquor licenses for,
I move to approve the liquor license renewal for Pytown LLC.
Second motion.
we have a motion made and seconded for the liquor license approval for Pytown LLC. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Common Victualler,
That's
We have in-holder common victualler.
I'm sorry?
We don't have any straight common victualers, but we have in-holder common victualers. Oh, no, we do have
No,
one.
it's, I just didn't take it off, sorry.
Gotcha, okay. I move to approve the common victualers license for Pytown LLC.
A second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the common victualer's license for Pytown LLC. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We have an entertainment and automatic amusement.
TV.
I know, I thought we were doing something really exciting in town.
I move to approve the entertainment and automatic amusement
AM
license for
radio.
Pytown LLC.
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the entertainment and automatic amusement license for Pytown LLC. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I move to approve the motor vehicle license renewal, Class 2 for BC Auto.
We have a motion made. Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion made and seconded to approve the motor vehicle permit for, what was the name of that?
Class 2.
BC
BC
Auto?
Auto.
BC
Auto,
Auto.
yeah.
Where's the location of that?
12 Winter Street.
12, okay, so it's right in the center of town, okay. Okay, on 12 Winter Street in Barre, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, it looks like, I don't know if you want to continue to sit here, we're going to talk about a bridge now.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving along to Mass DOT Valley Road Bridge Replacement Project, 25% design discussion. This is, in going through our records, we find that, or I find that, this particular issue of concern was brought to the Selectmen's attention in February 5th, 2018. So we've been working, not we've, but this has been something on the drawing boards at the state level, I guess, and so forth, following an August 4th, 2017, okay, inspection. So that's where it comes from. It's not something that, we just dreamed up, we'd like to take care of. It's something that the state has been working with the town for numbers of years now. It looks like since 2017, when they did an evaluation, which wasn't necessarily good, wasn't the worst that they've seen, but it certainly, needed our attention and their attention. So they've proceeded to move along in the process and to replace this bridge on Valley Road. So I know that we heard about this at
At our
the
last meeting, we received
DPW.
correspondence.
Yeah, and at the DPW commission meeting, it was discussed as well. Jason, can you walk us through how long this has been on the boards for you people and how many?
I believe the first report, like you said, was back in 2017.
Yeah.
Where the numbers were
Mhm.
going down.
Yeah.
The bridge condition was diminishing.
Yeah.
It's been on the state's radar. The state has been working with the town on a few different bridges that they're trying to get funded through the TIP program.
Mhm.
That bridge on Valley Road being one of them. We had a bunch of meetings, myself, the select board was invited.
When you say, when did
that's
those,
DOT.
when did those meetings start?
When did they start?
Yeah.
It probably started, probably a year or so ago.
Okay.
And the most recent ones, we had a couple in the last probably 4 months.
Okay,
Had 2 or 3. Greg, I know, was invited to the last couple. Greg, they weren't necessarily on days that he was in the office,
okay,
and so he wasn't available for them.
okay.
Some of them were via Zoom,
Mhm.
so those
Yeah,
obviously. So what they had done is they had come to the town. When we met down there on the site on more than one occasions with the bridge engineers and all that stuff. One of the last meetings, probably 3 months ago, we met down there with pretty much all the state bridge engineers came out, all the different district engineers. We looked at everything, we looked at, roughly where the right of way was, the width of the bridge, all that stuff, and what we could accommodate, what we couldn't accommodate. After all of that discussion, as of previous discussions, it was decided upon with there being no sidewalk on that section of road now, there's no sidewalk on that bridge, and with the limited width of the right of way, that we're gonna move forward with installing basically the same bridge as there, just a nice brand new one. And that's where we're at. So it came to be at the meeting after that, that we needed a letter from the select board, saying that it was okay that we were gonna move forward with this bridge without a sidewalk on it. And then, something happened at the last select board meeting where, the board, I don't know if that information was never passed along to them or how it was. After meeting with Mass DOT and talking to them very extensively about this ongoing problem, the numbers are going down on the condition of the bridge.
Okay.
So it'd be very nice to have it replaced before we're in a position where the bridge has to be significantly repaired or closed. That particular route is the truck route for Route 62 to get to 122 North, because the common project, that was what was decided back then, and again, the state had laid all that out. After the most recent meetings, it was basically told to us that, this bridge does have a spot in the TIP funding right now. If we do postpone it, where as far as having to do land takings and right-of-way widenings and stuff like that, it's going to not be put forth in this particular TIP. There is a possibility that later on it may be funded, but that's not a guarantee.
So they've already done 25% of the design based
25%.
based on,
25%, yeah.
based on no sidewalk.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So the issue that we're kind of running into now is there's a policy in place in town that was put in place in 2016 saying that we are going to add sidewalks and things like that in these projects when we're able to. I don't know, Chief, if you want to speak to the characteristics of the road as far as speeding goes,
I mean, Valley Road is a heavily traveled road, vehicular traffic that is. It does not see a lot of pedestrian traffic. Personally, I have concerns with if that bridge is condemned and shut down. The Pollier paving asphalt plant is right there, so it's a major throughway for heavy trucks. So then you're gonna have heavy trucks on, Old Colebrook Road or Fruitland Road, impacting traffic elsewhere. So, if I'm just afraid that if this project is delayed, it's gonna have negative impacts on traffic.
so I think one of my concerns, with, is there a speeding issue for the most part? Would you say there's a speeding issue there?
I mean, yes, I would say
Okay.
that Valley Road is one of our trouble spots.
Yeah.
It is posted 30 miles per hour the entire length of Valley Road.
Yeah. And one of the issues I have personally, I've seen large groups of people walking down that road. I go down there quite regularly. Anywhere along that road, you can step off of the road, not on a bridge. You're not gonna jump off the bridge to get away,
Oh, come on.
Now, I believe that we can have a sidewalk and keep it within the right-of-way. I sent an email to both of you and MassDOT, and I think it would be appropriate to hear back from them. It's at 25% design. And to be clear, if we were paying for the design, there is no way they would let this happen. We would absolutely redraw it 3 times from here to show them why we can't have a sidewalk there. This is honestly bizarre to me that it's even an option to not have a sidewalk there. Where they're paying for the design, apparently that's not as necessary for some reason. So what they're proposing right now is a cross-section with 3-foot shoulders and 12-foot lanes and no space for a sidewalk. I've asked them if we could do 2-foot shoulders and 11-foot lanes. That's sufficient for truck traffic. It lines up with what's expected for a local roadway. I have not heard back from them on yet, but I don't know that we should rule out a sidewalk where the big issue is if we wanted to keep the cross-section they're proposing and add a sidewalk, like Jason was saying, it pushes it out of the right-of-way. We need to take land from a cemetery, which is it would likely add a couple of years to the process.
At least, yeah.
At least. If they can do it within the right-of-way, it's redoing a couple months of work. It's not the 2 years of extending it, though. So the sidewalk would be included as part of the project. The town would not be paying for that. And if we did decide to add sidewalk later, to add on to the bridge later, I think on the call, they said it would be at least $1 million or more to add that piece of sidewalk later.
Well, they said pretty much everything you add to a bridge is.
At least $1 million.
At least $1 million.
Yes, yeah.
My only concern with 11-foot lanes, I don't know, I think most of you in this room are pretty familiar with the bridge on Main Street in South Barre, the ones with the Jersey barriers. That particular bridge, I actually measured it today, it's 11.5-foot lanes. And I think you guys know how tight that is when you're meeting up there.
In a car.
With 2 cars, or 2 pickup trucks. Never mind two large trucks, that are 8 feet wide with a mirror sticking off each side, at least a foot and a half. So you really don't have room on that road at 11-foot lanes for 2 trucks to pass safely on a bridge that narrow. And I think with it being a truck route from Route 62, I think that'd be very detrimental to the transportation of this town. I think, I personally, I'm on that road, tons of times a day. I have never seen large groups of people on that section of Valley Road. I've never heard of any issues with pedestrians on that bridge with traffic complaints. The chief would probably have more information on that than I would, but I don't see that being a problem. It's still gonna have a 3-foot shoulder breakdown lane, but when you narrow it up like that, and you have a guardrail on one side of the bridge, and you have a 12-inch curb for the sidewalk on the bridge
It
on
makes
the other
people
side.
slow down to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah, but
It might.
Yeah.
That's no guarantee.
Probably not, there's 30 miles an hour. there's
Well,
still
the
gonna go
apparent
50
width
miles
is
an hour.
quite an interesting thing when you get into it. And we could stripe the entire road as 12-foot lanes with 4-foot shoulders, and then just narrow those shoulders down for the bridge. And 12-foot lanes, you see those on Route 62. It's not that dramatic of a.
Right, but that's what they're proposing, you wanna go to 11-foot
11-foot lane, I can point to locations on 62 where it goes down to 11-foot lanes.
on Route 62?
Not in Barre, but on Route 62,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Well, I can't do that.
I-
I don't know.
The
the thing-
guidance, I can show you the guidance that MassDOT gives out for local roads is between 9 feet and 12 feet for a roadway, for a travel lane. So, for a local roadway, in any sort of situation, whether natural, rural, suburban, urban, 12 is the maximum, 9 is the minimum. So we're still staying close to the maximum. And in fact, it says down here, 45 miles per hour or greater is when they're recommending 12-foot lanes. That's what you're encouraging people to do, is over 40 miles an hour if you have 12-foot
The only thing is that, as I see this, if I'm the Mass DOT,
lanes.
I say to myself, okay, we let them know there was a bridge problem in 2017. Okay, then they did their thing, whatever they do. They have made efforts from, at least from their perspective, and you know of some of them, to communicate with us during this not us, because we weren't in the seats. They communicated with us, and I'm assuming that the previous Board of Selectmen said no sidewalks, because they went ahead and started to plan a bridge with no sidewalks. So
I
then.
believe the planning was started this past summer. The report came out. Yeah, design actually started while we were all sitting on this board.
Okay, so we didn't communicate with them, and they probably looked at it and said, okay, you can do X or Y. And we said the other night, well, we don't have the funds to do, the sidewalks ourselves, so we're not gonna do it.
The sidewalk on the bridge is covered under the project. We don't pay for that separately.
If it's part of the project.
If it's part of the project,
But it's
yeah.
not part of the project as they view it at this time.
But they said that it will be included as part of the project if we,
But we will be out of this particular spot in the.
which is the pinch point where pedestrians can't get off the roadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark.
First off, narrowing that,
Mhm.
in my opinion, I drive heavy truck, so I would say that's out of the question.
For
You know what I mean?
11-foot lanes, that's still a
Have you ever
wide
driven a
lane.
triaxle loaded and you got sway, you know what I mean? And then you got another one coming at you?
The answer for me is no. I've never driven a triaxle.
I mean, I'm asking John.
Well-
I'm just, I
Share with you
get
our
it.
town's policy that was not taken into account when this design was put together. MassDOT does have a copy of this policy. I believe you were director on the DPW when this policy was put into place in 2016.
So
this
where
isn't
would
from
your,
our board.
where would your approach begin or end on the sidewalk? You know, from both sides, and where do you stop? You know, we got a sidewalk that goes by the bridge,
Mhm.
and then we got weeds all the way down. I mean, where does it end? Where do,
Right,
you know what I
so
mean?
effectively, if people are walking down the road, they can step onto the bridge, onto the sidewalk on the bridge. It's not great. We should eventually have sidewalks down the entire road. That's what we're doing as part of our planning. That's where we're working on our master plan.
I get that,
The
but
issue is anywhere else along the road, you can step off the road if there's an issue. On the bridge, you're not jumping off the side.
what are the effects financially later on as far as upkeep on that sidewalk?
We would be required to maintain that sidewalk.
Pretty extensive though, I mean,
It's pretty extensive.
Yeah.
Now, does that include clearing like snow and ice?
Technically, we would be required to remove snow and ice from that sidewalk on the bridge. So maintenance wise, it doesn't make sense. It just, as Mark stated, that there's no sidewalks anywhere else in the area down there. And there's no places where pedestrian traffic really would be headed to in that direction on that section of the road.
Now, you've given them, I've read your thing to them. You haven't heard from them.
No, I have not heard back from them.
Okay, do you think that they are going to say, yeah, we'll talk about that, that's a good idea? Or do you think they're gonna say, well, you know what, why don't you guys, we're moving on, we're going to.
I don't believe they would move on from our project. I believe if that were the case,
What if you're wrong?
then I know exactly who we're going to be speaking to there, and with our Department of Rural Affairs would be involved. As we're a rural town on the edge of the district that doesn't get, look, for them to move on because we request a sidewalk goes completely in the face of everything they've established since their 2013 directive with the Healthy Transportation Directive they put forward in 2013. If they move on from our project because we want a sidewalk, it would not happen. We would absolutely.
Well, you say it won't happen. I mean,
Boston would stop the district from doing that. Let me put it that way.
Well, here's what I think. I think we have to have clear, commitment from DOT that making adjustments doesn't mean we're not gonna be serviced for 2.5, 3 years, 4 years.
What I would recommend is that we send a letter requesting this particular cross-section, saying, what impacts would this have, hear back from them, and then make a decision when they respond from that.
I was, like,
I would say it's not gonna stop this project. It's gonna stop the state of Massachusetts from paying for this project right now and moving forward. They said in the meeting we were on the other day that the earliest this would get back on the tip would be a minimum of 3 to 5 years.
That's
So
if there's right-of-way impacts,
There's gonna be right-of-way impacts.
not if we use this cross-section.
And the other thing is, it was talked about at the DPW commission the other night, and it was pretty unanimous there that everybody on that was okay with moving ahead with the bridge with no sidewalks.
All due respect, the rest of the DPW commission is not in charge of the highway system in our town.
That's true, though.
It's the three of us. And I believe there could have been some incorrect information about us having to pay for the sidewalk on that bridge at the time. Also, there was no consideration at that point of having a bridge that had sidewalk and fit within the right-of-way. No one considered that as a possibility at that point. And that's what I want to put forward
Okay.
as a possibility.
so you're amenable to it. If the state says, no, we won't do this, you're, okay, then we say, okay, go forward
I
with
think it's
previous
ludicrous
design.
because the state wouldn't even allow us to do this to this bridge if we were designing it ourselves with their money.
I don't
If they
know.
were paying, no, I
I
can
can't
tell
speak-
you from
I
experience
can't, yeah, you have
that
more experience with the state
I've
than this.
been
one.
roundabout with them on other bridges.
Yeah.
my thing is, well, I've lived in the town since full-time, since '87, and I've never seen a lot of pedestrians down there. I mean, I go down the road a lot, and it's almost like a needs and wants thing, and I just don't think it's needed.
Needs and wants, it doesn't cost the town anything.
Yep, no, it does in the end.
Well, it could cost us 5 years and no bridge at all.
No, well, if that was the case, I would understand not adding the sidewalk, if it's going to extend it out because of right-of-way impacts.
Okay, so if
I think we can safely rule that out. We would not approve a bridge that goes outside the right-of-way. regardless, sidewalk or no sidewalk. I would agree to have no sidewalk if the only way to have it was to go outside the right of way. I would agree with the board on that.
I think Tammy was in on that meeting the other day, and Mass DOT basically told us, if we're not moving forward this bridge with no sidewalks, we're off the list for this year, like, we're bumped, let's go somewhere else. That's what they told us. They already had the 25% design, they had the preliminary thing saying that the town was okay moving forward on a sidewalk. Now we're changing it, we're off the list, the money's going somewhere else.
They said in that meeting, if we change the right of way, if we have to change it for right of way, they're not going forward. And the fact that this policy was completely ignored up to this point is disgraceful.
Didn't it say, can you read that policy to me again?
Sure.
It said, there was language in it that stated if it was needed, like, we all feel it's not needed there. It doesn't say it has to have a sidewalk.
All town-owned transportation facilities in the public right-of-way, including but not limited to streets, bridges, and all other connecting pathways, shall be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained to support the concept of complete streets so that users of all ages and abilities can travel safely and independently.
Gotcha.
Shall.
Are they gonna, excuse me, are they gonna pay for this?
Yes.
Well,
They said they will pay for the bridge. We have to pay if there's right-of-way impacts. And if there's right-of-way impacts, we would not move forward with it.
And the only way to not
Have
have a right-of-way impact is to narrow it to 11-foot lane, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right. It's not a possibility.
It's absolutely a
That's
possibility.
creating an unsafe condition.
That is
I'm
not an
I'm
unsafe
in favor
condition.
of it. I'm not in favor of narrowing the road.
That's a, you know,
11-foot lanes?
that bridge is, it seems, you know what I mean, it's tight. When you're on it, there's trucks, there's truck traffic, as they both have stated.
I've
And
driven trucks
and
on highways.
there is
I've been there.
times when I've probably gone by another truck on or around that bridge or approaching it,
You mind
in
if I
my
ask what speed we're
time,
going?
1,000 times.
Okay.
And it's, you know, it's a little bit, you gotta pay attention there. Now you got snowbanks, now you got, you know, to suck it in. You know what I'm saying? I don't,
Mark, that bridge right now, I measured it today, the deck on it is 29 feet wide. So right now, the lanes are 14 and a half feet each side, and it's still pretty tight at that way.
it is.
That's without shoulders. You're not 14 and a half with no shoulder.
Right.
Right, yeah. So that's just a difference of if there's a stripe on it or not.
But
I-
it doesn't stop you from moving over. A curb and a guardrail does.
Right,
When you narrow that lane to 11 feet, there's
Yep.
going to be a curb there.
yep.
Right.
And for that 100 feet,
And
you
that
can't
is-
pull over.
And that is unsafe. Not that you can't pull over.
It's
not
more
too
unsafe for a
narrow.
pedestrian than it is for a vehicle. I will leave it at that. If you guys want to go for it, you know, that's fine. But I would move that we send a letter to MassDOT asking for them to revisit this with a different cross-section.
well, that, we would have to agree that the shrinking down the road, the lanes is, we can't do it with 12 feet?
Not without impacting right-of-way.
Even 12 feet is very, very narrow.
Yeah.
Like you say, the bridge
No.
in South Bend with Jersey Barrier is 11 and a half feet.
You are not allowed to have lanes wider than 12. That is the maximum by Mass DOT standards.
With a white stripe.
Yes.
Right, you can drive on a white stripe.
Yep.
I think you're missing.
The minimum,
concept.
yes, well, the minimum for your shoulders is 2 feet.
The white stripe isn't on curb.
Right.
Right.
You can
So
drive
you'd
over
still have your
the curb.
2-foot shoulder, you have your 11-foot lane, 2-foot shoulder, you still have 13 feet before the curb. So we're taking down from 14 and a half to 13. There's still a white stripe you can drive over.
I know how I feel, because I drive heavy truck, have all my life, and I just know how I feel with that bridge. And if it's, in need of repair, I mean, which,
It needs to be repaired.
Quickly.
The question is, no, it's the same, my question to MassDOT, it was, would it be approximately the same time if there's no right-of-way impacts? That's what I think it's worth taking the time to find out.
Okay, okay, so we say to them, you say, let's just do the right of way, whatever, and somehow squeezes the sidewalk in there by shrinking the lanes.
Yep, by taking a foot away from
Okay,
each lane from
and
what they're
so-
proposing.
Okay, and so the people who drive the big trucks, I don't, okay,
Mhm.
okay. I would say, okay, 11 feet for me, I guess that works for my car, but I do know that if there is a treacherous road in the town with the
Mhm.
worst intersections of all, it's the bottom of Mechanic Street and Valley Road. And then, to say nothing of Valley Road entering, okay, 122 with the wholesome food and everybody, the bank and that is a dangerous intersection. So I would not want to do anything to make the trucking, because what we put the signs on 62, I'm coming down 62, detour, all the trucks. We're sending all the trucks down to the worst intersection through the center, which is to go out on 122, right? Yeah.
You have the one at Valley and
Yeah.
Old Culver too.
They stink, right? They're terrible. And so I'm just saying that the wider the bridge, the better it is for the traffic that we've mandated go there, and that's the big trucks.
The wider the bridge, the faster the traffic. This actually makes it more dangerous with
Well,
traffic speeds.
That makes
When-
no sense. Do you mean to tell me that if we
Why
make
are the
it,
roads on, the lanes on Route 2 are wider than the lanes on 68?
The other side of the coin is you narrow it up, now they're at risk of hitting the people. You know what I mean? I mean,
Well, it's
the
not
people,
really- I mean,
the people that
If
aren't
you have
there.
people in the
actually.
road versus people on the sidewalk, and there are people
On the
that,
sidewalk, well,
there are people there.
I find it,
It would be my recommendation to the board, for the finances of the town of Barre, that the state is willing to do this bridge right now. It would be my recommendation that we move forward with it as designed.
no, when you say they're ready to go right now, what's right now? If we were to say, yes, let's do what the state wants tonight, is that any different than waiting for them to respond to a letter? And they say, no, we're not gonna let you squeeze down the stuff, or are we saying, even if they let us, we wouldn't wanna do it?
I would say even if they let us narrow the lanes down to that narrow, I think that's a bad idea for that particular roadway.
Okay.
There are roadways, so I can see where that would be beneficial and work. That particular one, right there with the turns and the approaches to that bridge, I think that'd be a mistake on the town there. I agree.
Okay. My only concern is, I would hate to see us quibble over something that ends up, the town loses the opportunity for the bridge at all. So I don't know, I've never worked with Mass DOT, I know you have. I don't drive a big heavy truck, I know that that's a trucking lane, I have to listen to the two guys who drive trucks, and I have to listen to the chief. And I feel like,
I'd like to ask
I
one,
don't know
yeah.
how fast that bridge will sail, but my business has quite a few heavy trucks. And we'd hate to lose that bridge, because that's Templeton, that's Hubbardston, from my side, where Palmer paving is. If you're the other side there, coming into Barre, you're gonna come down 62 and then have to take a right and then go up Mechanic Street. All those intersections are terrible.
I know.
They're not straight on, wide intersections.
I know,
The one down, if I go down Valley Road, go right to go up to Barre Center, my front tire's just about bouncing off the curb on the opposite side of the road, because that's where it has to be, so the trailer will miss taking down the stop signs and stuff. So I would suggest that you don't put this off and lose it, and then we lose the right of the bridge and not be able to go that way. That would be pretty bad.
mhm.
And also that bridge down South Barre where the barriers are, if I'm coming through with a truck, I slow up to let a car get through before I go over it. Another truck would have to
Well,
stop.
yeah, well, I admit, I even, if there's another car coming, I'm kind of slow to go in that little spot, that's a.
And that's,
Well, most people are going too fast through there anyway.
that's 11 and a half feet.
And a lot of people are going fast on that road to begin with.
I've walked on that road, you're right,
There's no sidewalk there for pedestrians.
no.
Right?
I do see a lot of pedestrians down there,
That's another good one. Yep.
That would be a different story.
along with the barriers are
Wow.
on Main Street. That's a state-owned bridge. That was on the schedule to be replaced in 2018.
Okay,
I'm sure
so,
they care a lot about Barry.
Are you folks talking about speaking to Patty Leavenworth from
is District 2, yes.
Is that who you talked to?
She was not on the call that I was on.
Who you talked
This
to?
was the bridge engineer. Their name's on that email.
So I don't think I have the email.
I don't have my notes from that meeting.
Okay.
Are they being cooperative with you?
Well, it depends on how, they listen to our concerns. I think at the time, no one was considering that we might have a more reasonable cross-section. So the terms at the time were if we, the conversation was essentially if we expand out of the right-of-way, it adds a couple of years to the project. Yeah.
In that meeting the other day, they did say that there was no way to accommodate the roadway width and the sidewalk in the right of way that's there.
Given the cross-section that they were designing with, which was the
No,
three.
Even they said they looked at different designs, and there was no way to accommodate the road, both lanes, and the sidewalk in the right of way that's there. That's what they stated there. That's
Well, I think it's
bridge
worth-
engineers that have been doing it for a very long time.
I think it's worth asking them to review that one more time and get back to us, and if they say, no, it's not possible, then we go forward without the sidewalk. I'm not saying we delay it years, I'm saying we
Well,
ask them
the thing of it is,
one more question before we
We
make a
asked them one more
decision.
question, but we agree that at our next meeting, we agree to move forward with the bridge.
Assuming they've responded.
Yeah, and well, if they haven't responded, I mean, that to me says it's a no. I mean, why would they not respond?
Well, probably because it's the holidays and
But
they don't check
even
their
if they
email.
respond in the affirmative, you still want to narrow the road, because that's the only way to do it.
Yeah,
And I don't think that's a safe option.
Yeah.
I think that's, they stated in the meeting that there was no way to accommodate both lanes, the sidewalk, in the existing right of way. So if we were going to.
we have to take
We
land.
were going to add a sidewalk, we would have to do a taking to extend the right of way, and this bridge was off the list, they were moving on to somebody else's.
Yeah.
So I would caution you with.
Not off the list, but if it was taking right of way, it would bump the year.
It's off the list for this.
It would have to move 2 years up in the tip at minimum, yes. It wouldn't be off the list though.
It's off of this.
Either way, I don't think that's an option. I think we all agree that's not an option to prolong the project 2 years. I think we all agree that's not an option.
So I mean, if their position is, from a safety perspective, that we shouldn't collapse the width of the lanes.
They have not said that. They have not responded to that at all.
Well, I'm saying it's the chiefs and
Oh.
the highway people and the people who drive the trucks.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel that obviously, my concern is that, one, we have a safe bridge. And if you look at, from 2017, did you get to see this?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty bad shape.
Right. And we're not talking about getting rid of the project. Obviously, we
No.
all want a
Well,
bridge.
see, what I don't want to do is to delay with internal conversations to the point where they just move on. I didn't.
They have scheduled this project. They're not moving on unless we delay it. Unless we delay it by adding on right of way.
So we say, we call up and we say, okay, yeah, but we don't want to collapse the lanes. I guess they're
Well,
saying,
that's the question then. I believe it is in a more appropriate design than what they're proposing. I believe the 11-foot lanes with 2-foot shoulders is more contextually appropriate for that roadway than 3-foot shoulders and 12-foot lanes. That's my opinion.
Mhm.
I believe that's more in line with this policy that was recommended by the planning board and approved by the select board in 2016.
Mhm.
I believe that's more appropriate with what we've been looking forward with the master plan. I believe that's what is appropriate and best for the future of this town. I mean, we're talking about something that ideally is going to be there for
Forever.
decades and decades, and it's not something we can add on later without an incredible cost.
But obviously, if it's an unsafe decision for us to collapse the lanes,
Where does
It's
it
not.
start? And where does it end? I mean, that's
So
another thing.
appropriate
which is-
tapers for adjusting, so that's WS squared over 60, removing 4 feet on the side, so 30 miles an hour squared would be 900 times 4, looking at 3,600 divided by 60, so 60 feet. So minimum of 60 feet, you could have that taper start even further though, to make it a more gradual adjustment.
Can you tell me, you know what year the Quabbin High School was?
I'm sorry?
You know what year Quabbin High School was built?
I do. 1967, 68, and the first class that graduated from there was 1968.
Right.
Just
We don't-
saying,
we
I
don't
would
have
know
side-
that.
We don't have sidewalks on that roadway yet.
I know.
Yep, and I
So-
think we've talked about trying to get that as a tip project, getting that resurfaced and getting sidewalks there.
Mhm.
That would be separate, that's something the town would have to,
I think that would be a lot more beneficial to put our time and effort into than taking a piece of the cemetery roadway that there's no pedestrian traffic on.
those are completely unrelated. That, to get that on as a tip project, we're paying for design. We're paying for every aspect of that. This is the state saying we are paying for design. It's still on the tip, it's still a transportation improvement project, but it's unrelated to that.
Well, I mean, it's,
And it's a good project that we should start pursuing as a town and start getting together how we would want to pursue that project. But that is unrelated from this.
I agree, it's unrelated, and what I don't wanna do is to. Okay, what I don't wanna lose our, you know, shall we say, our place in this.
My understanding from that meeting is we only lose our place if we tell them to impact right of way.
Well, see, the thing of it is, though, I got these people here saying to me, that 11 foot or 11 and a half feet or whatever it is not sufficient for what they do, which is drive these trucks.
Warren, what is your thoughts on narrowing it up?
I think 12 feet is not any extra.
Yeah,
The
that's-
truck's 8 feet wide.
Right.
So, well, 8.5 feet wide, 102. And then your mirrors are out further than that, so you gotta aim and get the wheels in the right place, so your tires, whatever. Yeah, I'd hate to see it 11 feet, even though it's straightaway there. 11 feet's tight.
11 feet with the 12, with the two shoulder. But, there would still be a shoulder, but, okay.
Tony, does the town administrator have any input in this discussion?
She probably does, but maybe, you know, if you'd like to, Tammy?
So when I did attend the meeting, this is what I got from it, and correct me if I'm wrong. I also got the fact that they wanted to go ahead, they have 25% completion, and they were gonna do the sidewalks. They wanted to move forward. They were a little disappointed in us because we wanted to maybe make changes at the right of way. I don't know if they would have to do new design plans if they were to take into consideration with what you had came to the table with, would they have to do new design plans? 'Cause I think that was one of their issues.
Yeah,
right?
it'd be a
Is
couple
that would
months of
be-
redesigning.
But I don't know if they would, the way they had made it sound.
That is part of the MassDOT review process. So when things get past 25%, there's public hearings, and generally designs restart at that point.
So I guess what I got from it is if they go ahead and do a design, they have to do new designs, this is what I got from it again. If they have to do new designs, we could be looking at 2+ years before we are on the list, because they were gonna take precedence over other towns versus us. And they didn't wanna see the bridge is it's a tier 4, I believe they said. And if it gets lower than that, possibly could end up going forward, we'd have to close this bridge. And they didn't wanna see that happen because obviously, that's a main route to all the different areas that everyone uses. And that's what I got from this Zoom meeting. I just walked in on it, like I said, that was what I interpreted.
Well, certainly the concern is, yes, we could, diminish the size of the, make believe there was a sidewalk there, okay, we could do that. The problem that I have with it is, I would hate to put the thing in, it all opens up, and then all the truckers, because those are the ones who use that road, they're saying, what in the heck were they thinking? Because this is this is terrible for us. The chief's telling us it's too narrow. The people who drive these trucks are telling me it's too narrow. I don't drive the trucks. I don't know what it's like to put a school bus there together with the truck. I mean, because we do have school buses that go up that road. Okay, so that, other than that, it's regular, traffic. But we've said to the trucks, you have to go this way. And then we make it so that
So that
so I,
they have to go a reasonable speed.
well, no, it doesn't mean they have to go.
It's 12-foot lanes are encouraging people to go over 40 miles an hour. It's a simple fact of matter.
That's on paper. You gotta look at this as a person from town. You can't look at it as an engineer, like what the paper says, that 12-foot lane is 40 miles an hour. 6-foot lane tells everybody nowadays that it's 50 miles an hour. That doesn't do anything. All it does is it makes them, go closer to stuff at higher rates of speed. So it's great, but it doesn't slow anybody down.
We sit there, I bet one of my officers sits there at least once a day, and it doesn't slow anybody down. We still get people speeding.
Well, I mean, we can put that to the test. We can put out, we can do a traffic study, put out the coordinate
Bless you.
speeds, and then just stripe it regardless of the bridge project, stripe it at 11-foot lanes, put those down, see if it changes speeds. I'd put money on it. I'd put money that it reduces speeds, just by striping it differently. And we can test that theory out if you ever want
You
to.
gonna put money right now?
Sure. I don't have a lot on me, though.
On the table.
Well,
I think the Mass DOT was already expected to have our letter say that we were okay with those sidewalks 2 weeks ago.
Mhm.
We're already holding the project up. I think they are very close. This money is going somewhere else
No.
in days, not weeks.
What about the unknowns, the things that they run into, like, that it could push it off even further and further? I mean,
We're talking about a month right now of discussion on a project that's slated to take another 3 years anyway. I've worked with Mass DOT schedules. I've prepared them for other projects.
and I haven't, so.
To make this change here would be the most appropriate time to make it at this moment. Like, we cannot add this sidewalk in down the road.
yeah. Well, here's my concern. My concern is that even if they were to say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, we in this room don't think it's a good idea.
Well, if that's how the rest of the board feels, then make that motion.
Well,
I've already made a motion, no one seconded.
Well, so I would make a motion that we proceed with the design that we have been discussing, okay, but that they've done 25% design on, and that we understand that there will not be a sidewalk on the Valley Road Bridge.
Second. I just can't see putting it off any further. At risk of losing anything including the width of the road. There's no, to me, that's unacceptable.
Well, or
I will stand
we
strong
do
on
it
that.
right. We say, forget the project, and then we say, we'll wait the 2.5, 3 years, and we'll take land.
I'd like to say it's a short-term gain, long-term loss, but I really don't even see the short-term gain. So,
If it was heavily traveled, like foot traffic, I get it, but it is not. It's
I
not.
can't tell you the times I've gone almost to the other side of the road to get around groups of people. I travel that road, I travel it quite regularly. And it's
So do I.
after school hours, right? It's not during your regular workday, it's after school hours. People are, large groups of kids on scooters, bicycles, walking, playing, unfortunately, in the road. I've
I guess
come
I'll have
across
to,
that a good number of times.
I guess I'll have to either travel down at a different time of the day, which I'm always on it, or get my eyes checked. I don't know.
Well, we have a motion made and seconded on the floor, which is to proceed as, with the design phase that has been ongoing, that it appears that they did not get any other input from us early on in the project.
Well, our policy was not followed when we had representatives from the town discussing it with them. So I don't know that we need a select board member there every time to remind everyone of the policies that have been put in place by select boards. Apparently we do. But the fact that this policy wasn't followed from the beginning is just as much a concern as anything.
Well, what wasn't followed?
Part B, scope of applicability.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
It's paragraph 1. All town-owned transportation facilities in the public right-of-way, including but not limited to streets, bridges, and all other connecting pathways, shall be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained to support the concept of complete streets so that users of all ages and abilities can travel safely and independently. If you need more on what complete streets are, you can go back to the vision and purpose and the core commitment. Complete
Does that mean
streets.
that I'm sorry, not to interrupt, but does that mean that every street we repave, we have to put sidewalks in?
We should be.
But that'd be impossible to do. I believe it says where eligible roadways or things like that. There's wording in there,
And
it's not every.
if you want to bring up a road that we couldn't afford sidewalks on, that's one thing. We're talking about a bridge where it's the same cost to the town either way,
It's not.
aside from maintenance. It is the same cost to the town either way.
Well, that
Well,
may,
not if we do it the right way, and take land,
If we take land, then there's more cost.
The only way to do it the right way is we have to take land.
and not do it now,
I
3 years out.
wholeheartedly object to calling that the right way. That is absolutely the wrong way for this road, in my personal opinion, and that's my personal opinion. And I understand no one else agrees with that opinion.
It's just, you can't narrow that bridge up. You can't.
You can, and it'll slow people down. It'll be a safer place for vehicles.
I just
and
don't think it
pedestrians.
will.
We're putting a brand new bridge in, we don't wanna put in a brand new narrow bridge, where people are still gonna go too fast.
It's gonna create accidents if anything.
I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, we'll put sidewalks everywhere, put sidewalks up 122, but I don't think this is, that's not so much the issue here. The issue here is the bridge itself, the safety and the width and
Well, the-
passing.
The safety for anyone crossing the bridge on foot is the issue.
Well, the real question is, to do it right, we have to take land, and we have to increase the right-of-way, so that we can accommodate the traffic that we know goes there, and that we can accommodate the right size sidewalk. In order to do that, we're 3 years out.
How about we look at some sort of program, maybe there's something out there that, like rail trail stuff, or that would offer a footpath down over or something around the river, or over in a narrow spot, a little bridge, walk-over bridge or something like that.
We're still talking pretty expensive for a separate bridge.
Because you have to make it handicapped accessible and et cetera.
I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there.
It'd still be a significant cost for that bridge.
So, I mean, we either do it, so it, that the bridge.
My bad.
Even now, the bridge wouldn't be done till what, 2.5 years if they start now?
Yep.
Okay. And if we don't start now, it's probably 5 years out.
Well, if they go with this cross-section, it could be on the same timeline. But
But-
I understand no
but-
one likes that cross-section.
Well, people who have to manage it and/or ride on it with larger vehicles don't think that it's appropriate. So I, for one, would say they know more about that than I do. I appreciate what you're trying to do, and
Absolutely.
if the bridge wasn't in such bad shape, because it's in bad shape,
We're not talking about extending the timeline of the project, though.
well, only if.
I
we-
am completely in agreement that we should not do anything that extends the timeline of the project.
Okay, so even if we do this, see, that's what, I can't agree to this,
Okay?
okay?
I
I could,
understand.
I could agree if you wanted to, but we're talking 5 years out minimum, if we kind of say, no, we're gonna do, the sidewalk and take land.
Yep. Okay.
John, I think you're misinterpreting what we're trying to do here.
I'm just surprised that the science does not matter at all to
I'm
some individuals.
100% on board with, if we can put a sidewalk in there, I am all for that. I think that's a great idea. Mass DOT was on that call with us the other day.
Mhm.
If we are taking land, this bridge is done. They're not funding it right now, it's gonna be moved out to the next time they have funding available.
And I have.
And that's not a guarantee, we would not guarantee
I'm
to
just-
ever be on that list
right.
again. So there is a possibility that the town will be on the hook for the complete rebuild of that bridge out of pocket, or with chapter 90 funds, or whatever we're gonna do. We
And I
don't have enough money
completely
for
agree with
chapter
that.
90.
My issue is that having 11-foot lanes in industrial zones over bridges is common practice and is safer than what they're proposing. That is my issue.
I think it's less, that's my opinion.
Okay?
I've driven a couple of large vehicles myself over the last few years, and if you go to 11 feet, that is way too narrow to safely pass two large vehicles. So,
Okay,
even with
if the motion that's on the floor, okay, prevails, what happens then?
We'll get a letter from the select board saying that we're okay moving forward with the
With
bridge
no
as
sidewalk.
designed, and off to the races it goes. If they're gonna complete the design, and it'll be funding.
And we're assured that that's what will happen.
We're assured either way that they will complete the design.
What do you mean either way?
No matter what we tell them, eventually it will get done.
Okay,
Well, if we tell them that we don't want to extend it, then there's a couple options, but you don't like that option, so.
I don't
yes,
like that
we-
option. The only,
The only point I'm trying to make is that they have scheduled this project for us. No matter what we do, other than telling them to cancel it, they will do it. They're asking us what we want and giving us what the different timelines would be. So my request was that we ask them about one more option they haven't considered.
but the people in the room,
They don't, right, and
they don't recommend it.
Right, so by saying we're okay with no sidewalks, it would just continue on where it is.
And I agree with Jason, you know, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, and I agree that a sidewalk would be great. I just, that's not,
would, yeah.
like down by the Barre Mill, that would be an industrial zone where I could see narrowing the road maybe, but on Valley Road. it's not
My only
really-
point about industrial is that it is effective and works appropriately for larger trucks.
I don't think on that road.
But that's what industrial zones generally have for traffic.
That's my opinion.
No, that's understandable.
Has there ever been any pedestrians hit or close to, is there any, like, that you can remember, anything down there? No.
On the bridge,
Yeah, you remember any? No?
on the bridge, intersection of Valley and Colebrook.
Oh, well, yeah, that's its own special place.
Is that right?
Yeah, they drive truck when there was no stop.
The last fatal pedestrian accident we had was on 122, across from the health center.
Okay, so, we have a motion made and seconded on the table, which indicates that we would contact Mass DOT regarding this project, and that we would say we would move the project forward without sidewalk, but with the appropriate lane widths that they are recommending. I know you're not gonna vote for it, and I appreciate that. I wish I could believe that, having been involved in other, kind of state projects where if you're not ready to go on a mass, school building authority thing, you're not ready to go because you can't make up your mind, too bad, you're out. And you're not, until the next round comes around, even with political clout.
This is TIP funding, not grant funding, though. It's a very different situation. But I'll leave it at that. We don't need to get into those distinctions now.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
Aye.
We have a vote.
Me, I guess.
And Tammy will make sure you get that.
I'm saying yes to opposed.
So send a letter to Mass DOT
Yes.
those sidewalks,
Mhm.
those.
Jason, would you assist with that letter, just to make sure we do the right specifics on that? Um, Okay, we are ready to take a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you. Station.
Thank you. Thank you.
Finally get to go have some dinner.
Huh?
Finally get to go have some dinner.
Enjoy.
My grandson Wyatt is doing an Eagle Scout,
Uh-huh.
and I think he wanted to pick one of the topics to discuss tonight and speak.
Well,
with,
he's got a good one to go,
and-
I'd say.
Yeah.
Pick the
and-
bridge.
And speak with one of the select